Today, we're digging into something corrosive, something that affects all of us. Broken trust. What happens when the very institutions you count on for your money, for your privacy, just fail you? Let's get into it.
Okay, let's start with a number. 3.43 billion shillings. That's not a company's profit. No, that's the amount of money in unpaid insurance claims. We're talking about money that was promised, premiums that people paid month after month, but the help, it just never came.
And behind that huge number, it's not just abstract math, it's people. 20,852 Kenyans, to be exact. Every single one of them had a policy, they had a problem they needed help with, and they had a promise that was just completely shattered.
And this quote, it just says it all. I paid every month, then one day they were gone. This isn't just a catchy headline. This is the real lived experience for thousands of people. It's that gut-wrenching story of doing everything right, paying into the system, believing you're protected, only to find out that when you need help the most, poof, the company is gone.
So where did this all come to a head? Well, the date you need to know is March 11th, 2026. Because that's the day the Insurance Regulatory Authority had to step in. They placed 3 major insurance companies under statutory management. And just like that, in a single morning, the financial safety nets for over 20,000 people were just wiped out.
Let's actually break down the numbers, company by company. Look at this. Corporate insurance, they owed 1.24 billion shillings. Cusco Mutual Assurance, over $1 billion. And Trident Insurance, another $1 billion. And here's what's absolutely crucial to get. These weren't some maybe claims or disputed cases. No. This is money for claims that were looked at, they were approved, and then they just were never paid. Simple as that.
But to really understand the human cost, let's move away from the billions for a second. Think about a teacher. This story is based on the experiences of hundreds of people who had policies with QSCO. She did everything right, meticulously saving for her retirement. And she chose QSCO because, hey, it was backed by the country's biggest SACO network. It felt solid. It felt safe. She did her part. The institution did not. So what on earth happened here? Was this just a bad year? A market crash? Not even close. At QSECO, a forensic audit dug up something shocking, a 13.3 billion shilling fraud at its parent company. We're talking about deep, systemic rot here. Executives were cooking the books, and get this, transactions were actually being signed using the name of an official who was already dead. This wasn't an accident. This was a long, slow, calculated betrayal.
Okay, so the financial side is staggering, but our investigation found that this kind of negligence, it doesn't stop with money. The very same carelessness, the same lack of respect, shows up in how these companies handle something else that's just as valuable, your personal data. We got our hands on official files from the Office of the Data Protection Commissioner, and believe me, they show a really disturbing pattern.
All right, let's look at the evidence. Exhibit A, if you will. Case file 1500 of 2025. This one involves a company called Brainstorm Insurance Brokers, and it's a perfect example of how a company in this sector can break your trust. Not with your cash, but with your actual identity.
So what did they do? It's pretty brazen. Brainstorm literally took the names, the jobs, the professional credentials of 3 people in the insurance industry and just slapped them on their website, pretending they were part of the team. They even used this info in a license application. And the whole time, they never even bothered to ask for permission. Not once. And when they got caught, what was their excuse? Oh, you're gonna love this. They blamed the web developer. Said it was just an unintentional error. Pay attention to that because it's a theme you see over and over in these files. A complete refusal to take responsibility for messing with people's private information. And this isn't just a one-off with some insurance broker. The pattern goes wider. Our investigation also pulled up this case file, this time on Capital SACO. And this is important because it shows the problem isn't isolated to one corner of the industry. It's happening across different parts of the financial sector. And what Capital SACO is doing, wow. The list of violations is pretty long. They were using their customers' photos for marketing without asking. They were publishing pictures of minors on social media. They were hanging on to people's personal data forever with no real safeguards. And on top of all that, they just systematically failed to tell their own members what their legal rights were. Okay, so let's connect the dots here. because this is the core of our investigation. The mindset, the corporate culture that lets a company mismanage billions of shillings of its clients' money, it's the exact same mindset that leads it to be careless with its clients' personal data. It's a total breakdown of responsibility. And here's the real takeaway for you. How a company treats your data, that's a massive warning sign about its overall health and integrity. I mean, just look at the parallels. They're almost identical. On the insurance side, regulators' warnings were flat out ignored. On the data side, they make up flimsy excuses. But in both scenarios, promises are broken, victims are kept completely in the dark, and the root cause is the same, a deep, fundamental lack of respect for the customer.
And really, this quote just says it all. The most dangerous thing in the room is a policy with a company that cannot pay. That's it right there. The real danger isn't that customer service, it's having a piece of paper, a policy, that's completely worthless the one time you actually need it. It's a promise of security that's just a hollow shell.
So what's the real price of all this betrayal? It's not just about the shillings, is it? No, it's measured in lost livelihoods, in sleepless nights, in stress, and in a kind of broken trust that is so hard to ever rebuild.
Just look at this graph. It's staggering. The fine that Brainstorm Insurance had to pay for misusing all that personal data, a little over 1 million shillings. The losses from the insurance companies collapsing, over 3 billion. It just shows you this huge gaping hole in accountability between these two types of failure.
But again, we have to remember, the cost isn't just the money. It's someone's life savings, gone, forever. And these aren't just my words. The official legal documents from these cases talk about significant emotional and reputational harm. The law itself actually recognizes that the damage includes distress. That is a real, tangible, human price that people are paying. Okay, so exposing the problem is one thing, but that's only half the story. For this final part of our investigation, we want to shift gears and talk about empowerment, because it's crucial to understand your rights and to know that, yes, there are ways to fight back and seek justice.
First things first, there's a key term you've got to know: data controller. Sounds technical, but it's simple. That's just the official name for the company or organization that's collecting your info. Could be your insurer, your SACO, even an app on your phone. And here's the important part. Under the law, they are the ones responsible for protecting your information. The buck stops with them. They can't just pass the blame to a web developer. And when they do fail, you're not helpless. There is a clear process. The Office of the Data Protection Commissioner has laid out a path to justice. If you think your data rights have been violated, you can file a complaint. That complaint kicks off an official investigation. That leads to a legal decision. And finally, if you've been wronged, it can lead to a remedy. There's a system in place.
So please, remember this. These are your fundamental rights. You have the right to be informed, to know exactly how your data is being used. You have the right to consent, to say yes or no. You have the right to object. And, maybe most importantly, you have the right to compensation when a company's carelessness actually causes you harm. So, we'll leave you with this one last thought. A question, really. Think about the companies you do business with. Your bank, your insurance company, your SACO. You've handed over your trust, your hard-earned money, and your most personal information to them. The question is, have they really, truly earned it?